Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Think Outside the Kitchen, Innovative Refrigeration Solutions for Residential Designers. Please use the Q&A function for all questions throughout the webinar so our speaker can answer them live at the end of our presentation. As we continue our theme of outdoor living design for the month of September, please join me as I introduce today's speaker, Corinne Willenda, Brand Ambassador at Perlick. Corinne, please take it away.
Good morning. There I am off of mute. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Let me go ahead and we'll share my screen with you. So today I'm talking to you about spaces where we live that could be enhanced by adding refrigeration. You know, these days we enjoy our entertaining spaces and inside, outdoors, etc. And it's really great when we're able to just simply incorporate everything that we love as far as entertaining into that space. So I like to say we're weaving a refrigeration into our entertaining spaces. So Perlick is the premier manufacturer of equipment for professional bartenders. That image there is from a restaurant in the St. Regis Hotel. It's actually the service bar. It's called Miru. So I am from Chicago, and should you ever have a chance to come to my fair city, please do visit the St. Regis Hotel if you'd like an amazing cocktail experience. So again, I want to talk a bit about just thinking outside of the kitchen. Oh, but I forgot this picture from Kumiko. So Kumiko is also in Chicago. It is a fabulous cocktail bar that was just named the world's best bar by the Tales of the Cocktail Foundation, which is an organization of bartenders from all around the world. So again, if you can look really closely, you can see in the background that there we've got Perlick refrigeration and bar equipment there. And we're very, very proud to be associated with Julia Momose and her team there. So Kumiko, should you come to Chicago, definitely check it out. A little bit of background about Perlick as well. In addition to beautiful restaurants like the two I just showed you, more than 95 stadiums in North America have Perlick bar refrigeration and beer systems equipment. Just so you know, at probably any time you have been out and about with your friends having a cocktail or a glass of wine, chances are really good if you peek behind the bar, you'll see some Perlick refrigeration or bartender equipment back there. So I want to quickly talk just a little bit about restaurant and bar design standards, just so you know the perspective where we're coming from. I'm going to also mention entertainment zones in the home, again, refrigeration where people live outside of the kitchen, and then some other cool ideas as well. So restaurant design standards. So obviously in a restaurant, things like cleanliness and sanitation and having very powerful refrigeration are all very important to maintaining the throughput of a bar, as well as being able to withstand everything that frankly a bartender can throw at it. So this is a beautiful photo. I love showing this to people. This is the Graduate Hotel on Roosevelt Island, New York City. The first restaurant design standard I want to mention is that food and beverages are never stored in the same refrigerator at a restaurant. You're always going to have those things kept separately, whether it's at the bar or even in back of house. Typically beverages are not stored in the same refrigeration as food. We see the same thing with freezers as well, because we don't want cross-contamination of flavors. So something to think about for the homeowner is doing the exact same thing. Let the large refrigerator hold food and prep ingredients and condiments and that, but let's have a separate refrigerator for our wines, our sodas, beers, canned cocktails, etc. Makes a whole lot of sense. Also, with restaurant design, we have to have very robust refrigeration construction. Not only do we have stainless steel interiors, but we use forced air refrigeration. So there's cold air that's constantly circulating throughout the cabinet of the refrigeration. And that is intended and is successful at keeping everything inside of the refrigerator cold and at the same temperature. So with forced air refrigeration, you're not going to get frozen spots. If you've got a beer perhaps in the back of the refrigerator, it is not going to get frozen from like it would from a cold block. Oh, and I enjoy showing this photo too, because if you have a keen eye, you'll see that that door on the right, that is Bill Murray, and he's serving you a beer. This is at a restaurant called Caddyshack. It's called Murray Brothers Caddyshack. Bill Murray owns this with a number of his brothers, and it is, as you can guess, it's a golf themed restaurant. So it's a whole lot of fun. The next restaurant design inspiration I wanted to talk to you about as well, that forced air refrigeration that I said, you can include that with all of Perlic's refrigeration that we sell to the residential market. So again, this is the same interior that you're going to see on commercial back bars, same as the one that had the door with Bill Murray on it, but same exact principles, what you're going to get with a Perlic refrigerator at home. Now, also another thing that restaurants do that you may want to consider is keeping soda, beer, and wine separate because they often require different temperatures. White wine is typically stored at 45 degrees Fahrenheit, red at 60, sodas and beers, and most food is at 39 degrees Fahrenheit. That photo on the right is from the Chase Center. That's where the Golden State Warriors play in San Francisco. As you know, San Francisco is a wine city. And so there is a private wine tasting area that is accessible only to people with suites. And that's the image that you see there. It's such a gorgeous space. I haven't been there personally, but I just felt like I had to share that with you. And I'm very proud to tell you that that's all Perlic refrigeration in there, which is awfully exciting. Now, how you can apply that to your own home is, again, having beer and wine in separate units or in dual zone refrigeration like you see right here. Having a separate drink space makes a whole lot of sense in that the home chef can work without having any interference from guests, etc. I know that when I am hosting a dinner party, I really want everybody to be on the other side of my kitchen. I've got a big island, thankfully, and I really don't want anybody hopping over to like, oh, can I help you? Like, don't get out of here. So having a separate drink space can definitely accomplish that for today's homeowner. Also, let's talk a little bit about ice. Just as with refrigeration in restaurants, ice is never made and stored in the same freezer as food. And so we would always suggest getting a separate ice maker for that drinks space in the home. A couple of the photos that you see here show our ice maker. It's only 15 inches wide, and you can make that, it can either make clear ice or what we call pebble ice, commonly used in tikis and smoothies and tiki drinks and smoothies, things like that. That photo all the way on the right is from Property Brothers. I think it was the Brother versus Brother show that was on. But anyway, ice is important. It's a critical ingredient now in all drinks, and it's important to not have that cross contamination of flavors in your ice. I think all of us have perhaps experienced a time where maybe we even just poured ourselves just a soda or something over ice and noticed that the ice was a little funky, and that chances are good that that came from something else that's in the freezer. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about entertainment zones within the home. So let's design with refrigeration where life is absolutely happening. Excuse me, dinner parties. As I just mentioned, put the beverage refrigeration on the guest side so the host can entertain seamlessly. I think that's always a good way to run your kitchen, if you ask me. Certainly with people planning for the holidays and that, again, having that separate drinks area for guests just to simply serve themselves. This is actually also really important too for if you've got kids. Having a refrigerated drawer like this with the children's beverages makes a whole lot of sense. They're not running into the kitchen and interfering and maybe bumping into you while you're pulling a turkey out of the oven or something like that. Certainly makes a whole lot of sense. And I know you know all about game rooms and media rooms, but let's definitely put some refrigeration in there. So no one has to miss a play of the game, maybe to open up another beer or a bottle of wine, etc. It keeps things flowing in the party, so no one has to step away and run into the kitchen for any beverages that they need. Al fresco cooking and dining, also, absolutely great place to be putting refrigeration. And I will give you a preview that Perlic is coming out with our 5th generation of under-counter refrigeration, being debuted a little bit later this year, and that will be rated for both indoor and outdoor usage. So you don't need to be concerned about specifying something for an indoor or outdoor use. Also, kids' pool parties. Again, as I said, with having a children's refrigerator inside the house, think about if you're working with a client that has a pool and they have an outdoor space and that specifying a special refrigerator. In this case, this is a dual zone unit with a freezer on the bottom. So you can put popsicles and ice cream bars and things like that so the kids don't have to toddle back into the house. And obviously, they're not going to dry themselves off to do that. Everything can stay outside. Love these for kids, that's for sure. Also, coastal grade refrigeration. This is something that Perlick debuted just a couple of years ago. This is actually an image from my friend Eric's home in Atlantic Beach, Florida. He moved his family to the area. They are about 1 block away from the ocean. And he said, I've got to get a coastal grade refrigerator for my new outdoor kitchen, and bought a Perlick one, I'm happy to say. And hopefully I'll get a chance for my husband and I to visit him and his family a little bit later this year, and he can cook us a nice dinner. That's a marine grade gas range or gas grill that you're looking at there as well. Coastal grade refrigeration is ideal for homes that are probably within about a mile of the ocean, because you're still going to have that sea salt air. And certainly things like yachts and other boats, it makes a lot of sense to use coastal grade refrigeration. Coastal grade has mostly 316 stainless steel, not just 304. 316 is the most corrosion resistant stainless steel that exists. In addition, you want to look for things like zinc plated fasteners and extra coating on condensers that prevent any salt air from infiltrating and damaging the refrigeration components. So coastal grade is very different from just plain old outdoor refrigeration. Coastal grade is absolutely a step above. Something you also might want to consider if you're working with a client that has a saltwater pool. All right, let's look at some other cool spaces. Now, I use this image in particular because all across the United States, I'm seeing a lot more either ADUs, as we call them here in Chicago. That's an additional dwelling unit, or a guest house, or a casita. My parents live in Arizona, and a lot of their friends have casitas. It's basically just a small guest house. Usually it has a very small kitchen in it, like the one that you see here, and a small under-counter refrigerator and a microwave, and perhaps a sink is really all you need to have a nice usable space for when grandparents come to visit, or you've got friends that are staying with you. Having that small space in a casita or in an ADU makes the space feel more welcoming. Plus, then people feel comfortable just perhaps having a cup of coffee or having a beverage at the end of the night in their own small space. So I'm really thinking that this particular setup, we're going to see a lot of these going forward, particularly as people age and maybe they want to have their elderly mom, dad, or both living nearby. Ooh, mudrooms. Okay. So I love this idea. So I have had a couple of my friends have a mudroom, and they put a small refrigerator, just like the one you see here in this image, right at the entrance to the door. That way people, and particularly, frankly, children, don't need to run all the way into the house. They could just pop in, grab a soda, grab a water, whatever, and then just head right back out. Mudrooms are, those transitional spaces, and adding a refrigerator in there makes a whole lot of sense. Perhaps someone, doesn't have space for an outdoor kitchen, etc., but you can still have refrigeration just near the entrance to the home that can easily provide for a beverage for folks both indoors and outside. Seeing a whole lot more of these refrigerators in the bathroom. A lot. And there's someone who lives in Hollywood who has a TV show. Her name rhymes with Shmim Shmardassian, has a Perlick refrigerator in her bathroom. Serums, creams, a lot of sheet masks. They perform better if they're kept in a refrigerator. And it's usually just a small 15-inch unit like this. Also, think about if you're working with a client who's designing a spa like bathroom that has maybe a sauna. Saunas are a huge thing I'm seeing these days on new home designs, steam showers, spa tubs. You definitely want to cold water, electrolyte drinks, and even cold towels that have been in water, and you can just roll those up and put those on your neck, etc. So having that refrigerator in the bathroom really makes a whole lot of sense. Laundry room. So I have a refrigerator in my laundry room. I know it sounds a little weird, but it's because it's also the area where my animals come in and out. That's the normal point of egress for our home. And also it's adjacent to my home office. My home office is in my home's basement. And so it's real easy for me to run in there and grab something for me or grab a refrigerated treat for my dog who is often sitting at my feet while I'm working. So having a refrigerator in a laundry room seems a little weird, but often that and the mudroom often function as spaces where people could pop in and pop out very quickly and just make things just easy in terms of flow, etc. And again, I'm always thinking about people that are entertaining, maybe with a lot of kids, and not having the kids just all running into the kitchen, just maybe having them pop into the mudroom or the laundry room to grab something to drink makes a whole lot more sense and keeps your house a little cleaner too. And I can't talk about the home without talking about our furry friends. Fresh pet food is really popular these days. This unit here is a dual zone with a freezer on the bottom and a refrigerator on the top for fresh pet food. And again, people are building special spaces for their furry friends, built-in crates and dog washing stations, etc. So having something like their own little fridge certainly makes a whole lot of sense. Isn't that dog adorable? His name is Harry. That's our marketing manager's dog. He's adorable. Also, think about a butler's pantry or a coffee break area. These are all images from homes where they just have a small little area where they have an extra drink space, whether it's just for beverages or a coffee station, etc. Makes a whole lot of sense. That picture there on the left, that's a very nice butler's pantry that's at a friend of my friend Maura's home that they would often set up the drinks out there for when they would entertain. And I'll tell you that she recently sold her home and she felt that having this refrigerator in this butler's pantry area really helped sell her home, that it made it a much more attractive to people who want to entertain more in their houses. Pretty cool. All right, wellness. Let's talk about wellness. A lot of people are dedicating special spaces in their homes to meditation, yoga, a small home gym, etc. And having electrolytes and protein shakes, and again, cooling towels, just like I mentioned before with steam showers and saunas really makes a whole lot of sense. And it absolutely gives your home that luxury feel. I'm seeing a lot of progress with the wellness movement that's spilling over into restaurants and fresh ingredients and things like that, and having a spa type experience in your home gym or yoga studio, I think makes a whole lot of sense to have that refrigeration right there at the ready. So really quick, I just wanted to just ask you to please remember when you're speaking with your clients, ask them about their entertaining style. What do they like to do? Do they do a lot of things indoors, inside? Do they have dinner parties? Maybe they bring in guest chefs. And again, that would be a great place to have the refrigeration a bit away from where the cook is going to be cooking. So that person can be talking and presenting and frankly giving some great hospitality to the guests and keeping the beverage refrigeration away from that kind of limits a little bit of the chaos there. Certainly kids and pets. I know I mentioned kids and pets quite a bit on here, but I think them having their own unique spaces would inspire them to clean up after themselves and just be able to get a drink of water when they need one. Spa bathrooms for sure. Again, that and the workout rooms definitely trend in with the wellness spaces that we're seeing in today's home design. Certainly media and game rooms, man caves, whatever you want to call them, and certainly boats and pools. Again, don't forget if you happen to live on the coast or you're working with a client that has a home that's within about, like I said, about a mile of the ocean, definitely consider coastal grade refrigeration for those spaces. If you ever wanted to know a little bit more about coastal grade refrigeration, you can certainly reach out to me or your local Perlick distributor, and they're happy to talk with you a bit more. I just kind of hit the highlights when I talked about the stainless steel and the zinc plated attachments, as well as the refrigeration. There's a little bit more to it than that as well. So I'll just finish up with this, that really with commercial grade refrigeration in the today's luxury home, you absolutely get that with my company Perlick. This is my contact information. Please reach out if you have any questions. Also, I am happy to share these slides with anyone. Go ahead and take a screenshot of this if you'd like, or really any of the slides, doesn't matter. But if you are interested in a copy of these slides, I am more than happy to share those with you. I'm happy to do all that. Now, do we have time for some questions?
Hi, Corinne. Yes. So we have several questions.
Okay, let
Um,
me get back
so
on video here. Go ahead.
Perfect. The first question is, what are the key electrical considerations for incorporating refrigeration into unconventional spaces like bathrooms, spa areas, basically wet rooms and
Oh yeah,
safety?
you always want to have, and I think it's a standard now to have with it's a standard now with all bathroom outlets that they come grounded. And so you definitely want to have that with all refrigeration. Also, I would say locate the refrigeration on the opposite side of the room as the tub. You don't want to have the refrigerator, for example, right next to the tub or right next to the steam shower, but it could just be on the opposite side of the room. Most bathrooms that do incorporate something that's going to generate a lot of steam and mist in the air will have a pretty powerful exhaust system. The house that my husband and I bought in Chicago a couple of years ago did come with what we call a crazy bathroom, which had both a small jacuzzi tub and a steam room, if you can believe it. But it has a very powerful exhaust fan in there. So, were we to put a refrigerator in there, it would be on the opposite side of the bathroom, away from whatever's producing the steam.
Perfect. Thank you. Our next question is, how do climate or regional factors influence the selection of refrigeration units
Oh,
when it comes to outdoor spaces?
yeah, sure. Well, the good news for all of you, no matter where you live, is that all of our refrigeration is designed and meets or exceeds all of the refrigeration standards at 105 degrees Fahrenheit. So we have, I'm here at Perlick today. Normally I work out of my home, but we have bays here at Perlick where we will routinely, as we're designing units, we will design them so that they can withstand high humidity, Florida, talking to you, as well as high temperatures. So we will crank up the heat, we will crank up the humidity. So I guess what I'm saying is that you can be assured there are no caveats of when to not use our equipment. I know other manufacturers will have a caveat on their cereal plate that'll say something like, to be used only in a space with an ambient temperature of 75 degrees Fahrenheit or less. You're not going to see that with Pearl. Like everything we build meets or exceeds all standards at 105 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty darn hot. A lot of those images I showed you are from Arizona or Florida.
Perfect. Someone asked, are there any smart technologies that help enhance the entertaining experience with refrigeration?
Oh, okay. So coming soon, our generation 5. So the most of the refrigeration that you saw in these images is what we call our generation 4, Gen 4. The Gen 5, which we're going to be releasing later this year. So I'm sure all of you will hear about this. My favorite thing that we're including with that is the ability to change the lighting in the refrigerator. So, for example, if you've got a glass door indoor refrigerator that you keep your beers in during a Bears game, because I'm a Bears fan, I can have that light be orange. And then when you open up the door, it'll revert back to white. And then perhaps my husband, who went to Northwestern, their color is purple. we can make that light purple if we're watching a Northwestern game. So I believe there are 15 colors that are going to be available, and it's standard. You don't have to say, well, I want these three colors. You're just going to get the full array of color options on a very easy to use touchpad. So coming very, very soon. Please get in touch with your local Perlick distributor in the month of, I would say, towards the end of November. You'll find out a lot more about it. Thanks.
Perfect. Um, our next question is, are there any special drain requirements for ice makers?
Well, Perlick's ice makers always now include a drain pump. But if you're able to plummet to an outdoor drain, you can, but we always automatically include a pump, and that just helps to evaporate any excess water that is created by the ice maker.
Perfect.
So the answer is if you want, if it comes with a pump if you don't have access to a drain.
Amazing. Going back to the temperatures, I have a few people asking about, you mentioned the heat that it can withstand. What about below zero temperatures, colder temperatures? Is there something there that they should be mindful of?
Oh, I would say in cold climates, probably the most important thing to do is to keep the snow and ice off of the unit. So you might want to cover it or just make sure that where you're locating that refrigerator is underneath a roof that's not going to allow for snow and ice to accumulate on the unit. I'll be honest with you, we do rooftop bars at all kinds of hotels and restaurants and they simply just shut everything down and usually cover it over the winter months and then turn it back on. Often they will have a, a, a maintenance technician come out just to make sure everything is a-okay with the refrigeration once they first do the first startup of the year in April or May.
Perfect. Going back to the ice makers, a follow-up question we had is, can you deactivate the pump for gravity flow?
Yes, the pump is an accessory and it comes with the unit. So you would just choose to not install the drain pump.
Perfect. Our next question is, in what ways can thoughtful design of refrigeration in these spaces support aging in place? Basically, how
Oh,
can it make daily routines more convenient and accessible?
absolutely. So, my favorite thing to do and I'll be honest with you, we do a lot of work with retirement communities, and it makes a lot of sense to use units with drawers because it's not as heavy. If you think about having to really pull something hard, it's a little difficult, but having the ability to open up a drawer is a little bit simpler. In addition, we do have a line of ADA height requirement units that meet the ADA height requirement. They're 32 inches tall. So you do have the ability to use Perlick refrigeration underneath an ADA height counter. But definitely think about drawers because those are a lot easier for someone with limited mobility to open.
Perfect.
And
Thank you
they're
for that
full
insight.
extension. So you can just look down and see everything that you have there.
That's amazing. We had a few questions about incorporating refrigeration seamlessly into design. Do you know about any panel ready to match cabinets, or do you have any insight on how designers can incorporate refrigeration into their design so that it's sticking out too much?
Yes, right, exactly. Well, I will tell you two things. One is that you can always find a wood overlay or millwork overlay templates online, or via your local Perlick distributor. That's something that we always have available. In addition, for those of you that want an absolutely smooth finish, the Generation 5 refrigeration that I mentioned before has an articulating hinge that is much more hidden than what you've historically seen from Perlick. So if that's of paramount importance, just give us a couple of months because we'll be releasing that Gen 5 uh, equipment. I was not planning really on talking much about Gen 5. So, but do know that we have solved for that if that's a major concern. But if you're looking for simply a panel ready door that has a template that you can give to a millwork, we've got that already.
Perfect. Jane asks, can we incorporate these ideas in a large garage?
Yes, absolutely. Mhm.
Perfect. Kind of,
The only thing I would say, okay, okay, and
please.
and I could just hear my technical services team like, you didn't talk about maintenance. And they're right, I didn't. So remember, with forced air refrigeration, you're talking about it has to pull air in, circulate it around, and then push air out. So it's really absolutely critical that I'm going to say once a month. Realistically, every other month is just fine. To pull the grill off of the bottom of the unit and just take a damp cloth or a vacuum and just get anything that can accumulate in there out. Because it's constantly pulling air in, it is going to draw in dust, pet hair, things like that. The number one reason we get called for a technical issue at a home is because those the refrigeration is clogged because of pet hair or debris of some sort. And I'm thinking of a garage, maybe somebody's a woodworker too. So you don't want things like sawdust and grease and that to infiltrate in there. So again, just every other month, pull that grill off. It's the easiest thing where it's just a pressure. It could not be easier. Pop it off, wipe it out, and then pop it back on. I myself have to do that because one of my cats loves to sit in front of my wine refrigerator, and she curls up in front of it because it's nice and warm and cozy. Well, then her fur gets on the inside there. So just once a month, I clean it out. So please, 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 please don't forget these things need to be maintained. And here's the secret too, is that a lot of times bars do the same thing. They forget that they need to clean the coils of their refrigeration as well. So it's always a challenge for us to make sure that people just got to keep the unit clean. You'll be good.
Perfect. We appreciate that note. That's definitely a good thing to remember. Um, a next question is a fun one. Can you share any real life examples or case studies of unique refrigeration placements that you've seen recently?
Oh, well, certainly the dog thing is kind of new to me. I have a dog, and you know what? I do have frozen treats for her. But we heard about just people wanting to have a separate refrigerator for their dog. Have you guys seen the commercials for, I think it's Fresh Pet, where, like someone's having a date and the date's like, you keep your dog food in your refrigerator? Well, okay, let's talk about what's even better than that. Having the dog or the kitty have their own refrigerator. I think that's absolutely a great idea. I'm also seeing a lot of homes designed with custom crates. I'm a German Shepherd owner, and I crate train. I've always crate trained my dogs, but having something that is like built in underneath the stairs that was really cozy and had a cute door. I have seen that in homes recently. So adorable. So adding a refrigerator to that space where the dog has her little bed under the stairs, I think is a wonderful thing to do.
It's perfect. Um, Coming to the end here, we just have a few more questions. Bill asks, how long can we order Gen 4 items as you transition into Gen 5?
You can order them right now, and we're doing a gradual phase out. I'll be honest with you, I don't know all of the details, but you able to order those probably for at least the next 3 to 4 months.
Perfect. And then Charlie asks, can you mention the shallow depth product that
Oh,
is offered?
yes, I can. Thank you, because I forgot. Thank you. Okay, you said Charlie. I think I knew who that is. Um, yeah, so Perlix refrigeration can be either 24 inches wide by 24 inches deep or 24 inches wide by 18 inches deep. Sometimes we call it our slim line, and that but you can actually hold a fair amount of things within a shallow depth refrigerator. I have one at home that holds 15 bottles of wine. It actually holds a little bit more if you just use that bottom shelf as well. But that's perfect for a guest room. Where you maybe don't want to take up 24 inches of space. 18 is a little slimmer. We actually have sold a lot of those, frankly, to hotels too, where anytime a hotel can trim a hotel room down by a couple of feet, they can add more rooms onto a floor. So if you have seen some new hotels, you'll see that things like the cabinetry where the television is and that is getting very shallow, and a shallow depth refrigerator is a perfect option for something like that. It's
Perfect.
also
Um,
ADA height too. So,
oh, that's amazing. That's a good note. And then our final question is, I know you touched about it on the upcoming line and a little bit throughout your presentation, but what trends do you foresee in residential refrigeration over the next 5 to 10 years? What do you think either clients are going to want or designers are pushing for? What's the next big thing?
I think we're going to see a lot of customization. As I mentioned before, that's why we're rolling out a new LED option with lighting in that. But also, I think people are going to move more towards refrigerated drawers. Those are, again, they're easier to open, very, very simple to work with, and they're full extension. You can look in and see everything that's in there, and it looks nice and neat, particularly if it's in a lineup with other cabinetry. A refrigerator drawer, particularly if it's close to the cooking station, perhaps that's where the home chef will store her garnishes for, a little parsley at the end of your meal, or extra sauces, things like that. Having that right next to the cooking area, I think makes a whole lot of sense. So refrigerated drawers for sure.
Perfect. And then before we end for today, Corinne, I just want to give you the floor and give you just a few moments to give us any final thoughts, or anything else that you'd like to share with our audience.
Oh, sure. Okay. Well, I think the way that I define home luxury today is just being comfortable and peaceful in all of your spaces, whether that's a coffee space, whether it's a wellness area where perhaps you're doing some meditation, or you've got a plunge pool in the house and that. And I think incorporating refrigeration that can have some beverages and some other, fruits and things like that that you want to keep in or near those spaces really just makes a lot of sense. It makes you want to stay at home, enjoy your home environment, and just really enjoy what you have. It's a nice thing.
Fabulous. Well, thank you again, Corinne, for taking the time to share your expertise with us. And a huge thank you to our wonderful audience for attending today's session. Until next time, I hope everyone has a wonderful day.